You know what I haven't done in a while? Built a guitar. So let's build a guitar. Specifically, let's build a baritone Telecaster. That's it. That's the intro. Welcome to Get Offset. My name is Emily and I'm really proud of you. You know why. You know I'm proud. Don't be coy. A few years ago on Thanksgiving morning, I sat down and pulled out a learn to solder kit, and well, I learned how to solder, and I'm not being dramatic when I say that learning how to solder changed my life. No, it didn't lead to a full career change, but it did empower me to work on my own guitars, and without that, I wouldn't have been able to build this channel. Get Offset is largely known for demos now, I'm sure, and to be clear, this is kind of one of them. But the channel saw a lot of growth early on as I did things like swapping out electronics, installing wild wiring harnesses, and fun stuff like that. Those have been some of my favorite and most fulfilling videos to film, and I can thank both teaching myself how to solder and specifically Sean from Gunstreet Wiring for walking me through more than my fair share of issues. But I know as well as anyone that not everyone is in an environment where they can solder, and not everybody wants to have to invest in even a basic soldering kit to swap out pickups and electronics. That's where the new solderless kits from Gunstreet Wiring come into play. Speaking of which, Gunstreet Wiring is the official sponsor of this video. With the exception of a few parts I had lying around, Gunstreet reimbursed the cost of the parts caster I'm going to build today. But back to Gunstreet Wiring and what this is of a demo for. Gunstreet just launched new solderless kits for Telecasters, Stratocasters, Les Pauls, and P-basses. They all have what's being called the VVC volume voicing circuit, basically a switch where you can control whether your volume is a low or high pass filter. And kits like their OEM style Stratocaster kit has a switch where you can control whether position 1, aka bridge only, has a tone control attached to it. Pretty cool stuff. When Sean reached out to me, it was perfect timing. I already knew I wanted to build at least one guitar this year, and I was absolutely going to get a harness from Gunstreet Wiring when I did that. Let's take a quick look at this wiring harness before I talk about the rest of the build. I opted for the 5-way Telecaster switching. Yes, 5. I have a Lawler Royalty neck pickup, and it has a 3-wire configuration, which you need for both the 4 and 5-way tele switching. So let's go ahead and open this up. A little bit of environmentally friendly packing materials and our 5-way harness. So that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Position 1 is the neck pickup. Position 2 is the neck and bridge in parallel. Position 3 is the bridge. Position 4 is neck and bridge modded phase. And position 5 is, quote, bright PAF with bass contour tone knob. As Sean told me, this is, quote, very non-normal. He designed it when he first got a Tele and wanted a true humbucker sound. This is 100% new to me, and I'm really excited to hear how it sounds. All right, let me get this under the camera. It really is totally solderless. You can see those little clips there where you just put the wires in, and instructions right there, including how to change the filter circuit. It would be a true feat for me to mess this up. While we're talking electronics, let's talk about the pickups. In the neck, I'll be using this Lawler Royalty. We'll see if that focuses later. It is a Strat Voice single coil pickup size as a drop-in tele replacement. Very Prince. I've used this before in my Squire offset Telecaster. I sold the neck and body dirt cheap to a Patreon supporter, wink wink. Check out the Patreon if you feel so inclined. You might get some screaming deals. But I really liked this pickup and I wanted to continue to use it. The bridge is new for me, and it is my first custom shop Seymour Duncan pickup. Get that over there, see if that focuses. But this was from a reverb.com custom run they did earlier this year. It's basically a lap steel voiced tele bridge. Very Keith Richards. I'm super stoked on this one. It's even signed by MJ the box. That's really, really cool. All right, I'm gonna put these things down and then we'll talk about the body. I found this on Etsy. Someone I believe named Sean Cox is what someone else said, builds these reclaimed wood bodies and sells them under the name No Moon Laser. I believe that's the name, link in video description, but it's a great price. This is actually already finished with blue nitro, so I'm good to go. The wood used to make this, as they say, barn caster is, I believe it's pine, and it says it was built from a house, or I should say cut from a house that was built in 1967. I went back and forth on a pick guard, but I'm leaning towards body mounting the neck pickup there. If that doesn't work, Sean sent me a mounting ring. Listen, it's not that I didn't want to drill holes for a pick guard, but maybe I didn't. All right, and just like magic, the neck is in my hands. This is from Fender. It actually is a Fender licensed neck. It's a baritone conversion neck for Telecasters. I also have some baritone strings from String Joy right here. Other than that, the hardware I have is pretty standard. I got an electro socket to drop in there. I've got some modern style tuners. Obviously the wiring harness. One thing I want to point out that I already know I'm going to need to do is I am going to need to widen the control plate cavity just a little bit. Sean told me that was a possibility, that sometimes you need to do that and sometimes you don't. I guess there's less sort of consistency, for lack of a better word, than I would have expected with the control plates on Telecasters. So I'm gonna go into my garage and I am going to put this on my bigger table, and maybe I'll take y'all along with me. So see you in a second. All right, welcome to my workspace. So I'm sure there's a correct way to start, right? I'm sure there's a place where I should start, or a couple places that would make the most sense to start. But I am going to just kind of get everything placed, for lack of a better word, I guess. Here's all the stuff from Gunstreet. So I have my strap buttons, string ferrules, the mounting plate in case that comes to need, and my bridge. This is the wiring harness I'm going to use. Sean had accidentally sent me the 4-way, probably because he knows I'm a fan of the 4-way, but I'm not going to use that. So I was hoping I had another control plate for Telecaster, but I don't, so I am going to need to take this off of the control plate and put the new one in. So, all right, I have installed the new 1, 2, 3, 4, 5-way switch, and just so you can see, it is very close, but I know you can't really see that. Let me see if I can get a bit of an angle for you. It doesn't quite go in flush because the circuit board is just a little bit too wide for this routing job, but I inherited some wood files from my grandfather, Big Al, and I'm just going to file this down a bit, and that's going to be the not necessarily the next thing I do, but it's going to be among the first things that I do. I'm also going to install the electro socket. So I really love an electro socket. I know people are like, well, you can't use right angle cables with them. You really can. You just have to be smart about it, for lack of a better word. Again, there's a fly around here. It's driving me nuts. I'm sorry that my cat is not in here right now. There's a way you can just not use the washer and it'll install just fine. So I'll need to drill 2 little holes in the socket there. And those will be my first holes I'll probably drill. Keep those all together. So that actually fits in perfectly. And then I'll just drill the holes there and there. Sorry if my nails are a little on the dirty side. All right, what else do we have to drill? Well, we're gonna have to drill mounting holes for this. So that's not a stressful thing. I have, you know, pick up screws and springs around here somewhere. Not a big deal. This is, you know, going to mount into there. So maybe I go ahead and open that up, line it all up. What I like is that I obviously don't have to drill all the way through the body there. So that's going to line up there. Obviously he already started those holes, so that's great. I feel like what I should do probably is put the neck on, put the tuning machines in the neck, get some like twine or some red string or something, just to make sure that I actually am doing this correctly and evenly. I honestly, the thing that I'm always kind of stressed about in builds is drilling bridges. I don't do it a lot, so it is just kind of one of those stressful things because I just don't have the experience. So that's gonna go like that. Neck is gonna go there. I think it's gonna look really hot without the pick guard. So I'm really excited for how this is gonna turn out. There's this, I do have a switch tip somewhere in here. I also have these knobs that I'll make sure to put in the right place. But I think that's gonna look really nice. Something I was thinking about was those little hand palm benders and maybe incorporating one of those. I feel like I've been influenced by Ryan Burke specifically on that one, but we'll see. Put some other things away. And yeah, I think that the tuning machines on the neck and just aligning the bridge should be the first things that I do. Okay, so for now I've decided upon these Fender locking tuners. I also had these guys, which came in a hip shot box. So it's probably the original tuners that somebody then put in the box and sold to the trading musician. So might as well go with the nicer ones, eh? All right, please excuse the extreme mess, but got the tuning machines on, got the neck bolted. I measured and it is a 27-inch scale, which tracks because, let me just grab my other one over here. Because this guy has a 27-inch scale. So I've already measured that out and it does seem to work. So now I'm gonna put the high string and the low string on and just kind of make sure everything's aligned correctly before I drill some holes into the body of this thing. All right, I've got my bridge drilled. The pilot holes were fine. Like, didn't have any real issues with that. I'm just now wiring this bad boy up and it seems pretty simple. So all I need is to follow these instructions here. So first things first, I've already done the ground wire on the bridge. So I'm just using this Allen wrench to, you know, get things in there. And there's like obviously some things that are already wired. So this is the hop from my bridge. One thing I will need to go back and do is add a ground to bridge right there. So you just push down, put it where it gotta go. Bonk. Seems pretty sturdy. Then the neck pickups cover ground wire. I'm assuming that's my black one there. I don't really like how that's hooked. Let's push that wire back a little bit more. And go. Ground, and then this is probably my finish. I didn't want to put that in with the other black wire because that would be confusing. All right, fish that back up through here. All right, just pull that cloth back. Push down, insert an angle. And there we go. All right, everything's in there except for the ground. So I'm gonna go ahead and do that. And I might just get some sound tests in. I have this little Bookworm Effects amp situation, so we'll just see if we can get output and make sure it works. And then I'll mount everything. And then I'll do some like finishing stuff, intonation, obviously the strap buttons. I haven't actually put in the electro socket. And then work on the bridge, the nut a little bit, I mean. Yeah, and I'll have plenty to talk about later, I promise. Okay, here we have everything plugged in. It is volume, we have tone, but position 1 is bright PAF with bass contour tone. Let's see how that sounds. All right, so we're getting output. All right. I don't know if that's supposed to have output there. I'm definitely getting bridge. Position 2 is neck bridge modded phase, so. You know, I was getting output from bridge earlier. Now, I feel like I'm not. Still getting it in the bridge though. Now it is just bridge, so I'm not. All right, not surprised. This is supposed to be neck bridge normal. That's correct. And then this is supposed to be just neck. Great. So that seems to be working. I wouldn't be surprised if I'm just confused. That's clearly getting output. Just bridge again. Nothing. There we go. Neck bridge. Modded phase. See, this is one where I am a bit confused and concerned, as well as the bright PAF. So what I'm going to go ahead and do is I'm going to swap these black ones. So let me see. I think I might know what I did wrong here. So shoot. All right. Let's pull this out there. Pull all three of these out. So I think this is the finish wire. No, black is usually ground. I'm confused. Let me just drop that in there. They might be using different color schemes. So if the ground is supposed to go in here. Oopsie. Because I'm using a Seymour Duncan in the bridge and a Lawler in the neck. Shouldn't be too odd that they may have different wire color schemes. And then I think this would be. All right, let's go through those again. Modded phase. All right, now I'm getting some action. Great. So that's actually the PAF. This would be modded phase. Great. This bridge. Oh, huh. Oopsie boy. That was supposed to be neck and bridge normal. All right. I'm now swapping these two. And then, oh, could you imagine how awful this would be if I had to like actually solder things? Okay. So will this work? Great. So that was supposed to be the neck only. Neck bridge normal. And then this would be just the bridge. Great. Huh. And then this is going to be neck bridge modded phase. Oh boy. I'm doing something wrong, guys. All right, let me turn that down for a moment. So this is the back of the royalty, right? I'm assuming that this is the finish wire. I'm just assuming that. So I'm gonna unhook both of these black wires. Knowing that one of these is probably ground and one of these is probably the finish wire. So if I think this is the finish wire, I'm gonna put that's this one. So the finish wire would go, oh, I'm just gonna undo this as well. The finish wire would go in this second to last spot. The ground is gonna go in this first spot. So I'm gonna go ahead and put in what I think is the finish wire, which I think is this one, this black one right here. Oh, come on. And I think this is probably the hot. And I think this is probably the ground. And I will tidy things up before putting them all back in. So let's go ahead. And once again, this should be the neck. That is the neck. This should be neck bridge normal. Yeah, that's normal. Let's go ahead into that PAF. I don't know if that's correct. See, this is supposed to be in phase and it's not. So this is where I'm getting a little bit confused. Oh, man. I don't love how they made this the same two colors, honestly. That I find that really a little bit messed up. So not helpful here is that they all seem to be kind of coming out the same place. So I'm thinking I may have the ground and the finish wire confused. I'm glad I gave myself a lot of time to do this. Let's try again. So this is the PAF. Oh, fantastic. I'm getting sound from both. Both. Okay. The bridge should not be getting sound. Great. Neck bridge normal. Yes. Yes. And just the neck. Oh. Yes. Oh, hell yes, guys. We did it. I almost cussed. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. All right. So, oh my goodness gracious me. Put that in the right way, maybe, Emily. Fantastic. Next up is just mounting these. I am going to try to do the body mount. I'm not sure, honestly, that the screws I have are long enough to do that. So the last thing I want to do is I need to decide if I want it to be a filter, like how I want the filter circuit to work. And that is actually, that's down here. Little bit hard to see there. But right now it is set to low. So standard low pass filter. Using the volume will save more low end. That's what I want. It's a baritone guitar. I think I would like to save the low end. And if I change my mind, I can change my mind. Well, Would you look at that? It's not perfect, but it works. We'll talk about it in a second. Welcome back. It is done. I put a guitar together for the first time in a really long time. This is actually, I'm gonna be honest, this might be the first time I've fully assembled a parts caster on my own. I've done lots of mods to guitars, but I don't think I've actually just like bought a body, bought a neck, and put the whole thing together. Maybe ever, not successfully at least. And this was not so bad. There were things that took a lot longer than I expected them to. The wiring was not something that took longer than I expected it to. It was honestly a breeze from the Gunstreet perspective, from the which wire and which of these three wires is which perspective, a little more difficult. I believe that Lawler now does their third wire in tele neck pickups in a different color, but for mine, that finish wire was also black. So, but you saw that. I'm assuming you all saw that. As far as like fit and finish, like I mentioned, I did have to sand down kind of the edges of the control plate here. I didn't need to get an actual file or do anything major. It was really just like 150 grit sandpaper and shearing the sides just a little bit. And everything fit. As for other things, I don't know if this is how well this is going to show up, but that electro socket there, this body isn't kind of like a lot of modern Telecasters where it's kind of like flattened right there. So the electro socket does poke out a little bit. I'm not sure if I'm bothered enough by that to just install like kind of a standard tele output jack plate. But I don't think that I am. I'm very happy with my decision to not use a pick guard. Body mounting the neck pickup was a little bit tricky. I am going to be honest. I feel like usually when you do that neck mount, it's kind of a conversion from using a pick guard mount. So you can do things like measure the distance that it was, like where the pickup was between the strings beforehand, like actually like more easily mark in where those holes are going to go. Stuff like that I just had a little bit of trouble with. The most time-consuming part of this is probably not going to surprise a lot of people. Just cutting down this nut slot. It was really high. Like it was marked where the strings would go, so they were spaced out, pre-slotted. But I did have to take some nut files and cut it a lot deeper. That being said, I think this is relatively good now. I'm not done fixing this. So it's a B. It's a little bit sharp, but you should have seen it before. So yeah, once again, this was a lot of fun to build. I just spent most of yesterday doing it. A couple of things that I am going to change. I am probably going to try to file the nut even a little bit deeper. Obviously, I don't want to go too far, but right now the action is a little bit high, despite some other adjustments I've made at the bridge here, just trying to maintain that kind of 9.5 inch radius. That being said, this low E is as low as it goes in the saddle, so I feel like that's a pretty solid indication that maybe the nut slot will need to go down just a hair more. I don't really know if that would have any other intonation problems, but I'm going to look it up. I'm going to do the research, and you're going to tell me in the comments, aren't you? All right, so let's go ahead and hear this puppy. I'm using the Marla S10V from Marla Amplification. I'm using the golden reverberator on a spring setting from Universal Audio. And I will use the Silktone Overdrive Plus at some point. All right, let's go ahead and play through the pickups. Again, this is a Seymour Duncan custom shop based on a lap steel pickup. I got this from an artist discount. The Lawler is a Royal T, that's in the neck. It's kind of a Stratocaster neck feel, if you remember that from earlier in the video. And I got that at Emerald City Guitars. It's been in a few instruments. I really like that pickup. I got this combination because I just thought they would be really good with the baritone. The bridge pickup is a little mellower, less harsh. I thought that would work well with a longer scale. Let me know if you think that I'm right. So let's go ahead and hear the pickups on their own first. The fifth position is the neck. Then the third position is the bridge only. Here they are both together in kind of the standard configuration. And the first position is a PAF with a bass contour sound. That is a Gunstreet special, I'm pretty sure. I don't know, I've never seen it before. Let's compare that to just the normal two pickups together. I really, really love that sound, man. I'm almost sad that I can't put this configuration also in just a standard Telecaster. Like, man, I love them both. Oh, God. Okay, let's do the modded phase. This is the modded phase. That's position 2. Against the normal. I feel like the PAF with the bass contour and the modded phase work especially well because they are a little bit brighter. And I think that just really kind of helps it a little bit. It sounds so good. And in order, that was modded phase, PAF, and then the standard 2 position, I think. Here's the bridge. Overthinking things. My God, I love this. Let's hear the tone roll off in each position. If you're enjoying this video, please drop a like, comment, and subscribe. I also have general affiliate links in the video description, as well as a link to the Gunstreet Wiring, the No Moon laser body, etc. All right, let's go ahead and kick in some overdrive, eh? I'm gonna start in the neck and I'm gonna work my way back toward position 1. Yeah, I don't really like how that sounds right now. I need to get this configuration in a regular guitar. Oh my God, I love all the tones that you can get from this, just this switch, this 5-way switch. I've done a 4-way tele switch before, but man, I think I'm in love. I'm gonna try the phase with this strangle on the silk tone. Let's really drive these pickups. Let's just go ham. Let's go the more compressed sound. Oh, I'm in love, man. Yeah, you know, I'm having such a good time with this baritone already. I'm so glad I had the inkling that I could do it and then did it, because oh my goodness. Yeah, I mean, I highly recommend No Moon lasers for the bodies. They have a bunch on eBay right now, an auction. I think they start at $46 for the body. And this one was, I think, $109. The neck I got with an artist discount like years ago from Fender, so I don't know how much that cost, but necks are probably 400 bucks. The pickups, I forget what I paid for them. More than 100, less than 200 each probably, I forget. Then we have the wiring harness from Gunstreet, which just made this so much easier. It was such a relief to not have to worry about getting out my soldering iron. And the big thing for me, especially with this Lala Royal T, was that not remembering which one was that third bonus wire. If I had had to solder this together and I guessed wrong, I would have been so upset. But just being able to pull it out of the little slot and then just swap them around, it gave me a lot more confidence to just try and make a mistake and not get upset about it, because it was nothing to get upset about. It was like easy, breezy, beautiful Gunstreet wiring. But this is fun. The strings are great. Thank you to String Joy for those. No complaints. And like I said, I didn't get paid per se for this video, but Gunstreet did compensate me for the body, the hardware, yeah, just the body and the hardware that I didn't already have. They sent that to me, and obviously the wiring harness. So check them out. I am just enamored with it. I think it's really cool what Sean is doing over there, just empowering more people to swap their pickups. I think it's just a great thing. Well, I hope you've liked this video. Thanks for coming on this journey with me. Please click on one of the other videos on the screen. That's a great way to make sure YouTube boosts this in the algorithm. And to all of you out there, thanks for watching. Thanks for understanding. Until next time, my name is Emily. Goodbye.